I'm joined by Steve Slater, CEO of the Light Aircraft Association, who I believe is part of the skeleton staff at Tor Western at the moment, keeping the place running. Or maybe not Tor Western, but the LAA. Is that right?
That's right. Well, we've got normally have about 20 staff in the offices here at Western. We've got myself plus 4 in today, and we're at what I would call level 2 of our contingency planning. We've gone from business as usual to a reduced number of staff, with people coming in to transfer documentation. Luckily, we invested over the last couple of years quite heavily in new technology, which has allowed us to do a lot of work via the cloud. And that's allowing us now, for example, to keep the permit renewals and the modification oversight going with our engineers working from home. Worst comes to the worst, we'll go into a full lockdown. We'll probably have 1 or 2 people dropping in once in a while to make sure the building's still standing. But around about 90% of what we do, we'll still be able to achieve.
So I was going to say, if you're at level 2, how many levels are there?
Oh, we're going to go to level 3. After that, we're doomed.
I haven't really figured out how many levels we've got. I should probably go and get some levels if they've got any left in the supermarket. Obviously, clearly, places like I think Belgium's closed down, Italy's closed down, France, because of the restrictions on movements, is effectively closed down. The same in Spain, really. I believe Norway's also closed down. And everyone I know who flies is keeping their fingers crossed that the same thing doesn't happen in the UK.
Exactly that, and we're in daily dialogue, in fact, with the Department for Transport and the CAA, including the head of the GA unit at the Civil Aviation Authority and the senior people in the newly created GA unit at Department for Transport. We've made a very strong case that unless there is a new element of evidence, there's nothing at the moment which would indicate that, provided you're sensible about your social interactions, not being too close to other people, there's nothing to stop you getting your aeroplane out the hangar and going flying. It's things like actually going up and paying landing fees in a control tower, or maybe having dialogue with the refueler. Ask the refuelers to do it by remote control, pay by your credit card over the phone. Minimize that direct contact, and there is actually no significant risk in going solo flying. There is actually a risk if we grounded everybody for 12 weeks, which is what the French and the Spanish appear to be doing, in pilot currency. And actually the risk of an accident due to a lack of pilot currency is far greater at the moment than the theoretical risks from COVID. There are a couple of other areas, though. Dual instruction flying appears to be minimized by a lot of flying clubs and flying schools at the moment. For those of us like me who come up at the end of May to needing a biannual flight review, that's going to be something that's going to be a problem. And it's going to be a problem for about 2,000 LAA members. We have about 7,800 members, 5,000 to 6,000 of whom are flyers. And we know that we're going to have issues there. We're going to have issues also with the shortage of AMEs available to do aircrew medicals. You can, of course, self-certify for an Annex 1 aircraft, a non-EASA aircraft. But if you need an aircrew medical, that's something you need to be planning about.
Talking of the self-certification thing, I guess for the Annex 1, i.e. the permit aircraft, that's really just a self-declaration with a form on the CA website, isn't it? So if I can figure out the technology, I'll put a link somewhere in the description, as they say on YouTube, I believe. So keep an eye out for that. If there's no link in the description, it's because I couldn't figure out how to do it. In terms of permits and stuff like that, I presume as permits begin to expire, it's a case of negotiating with an inspector to see if there's an inspector happy to look for it, or how's that going to work?
Well, that is something we're working on at the moment with our inspectors. We've got very open dialogue. Of course, they tend to email into our Chief Inspector, Ken Craigie. If any inspectors are watching this, do your email to engineering. Ken's actually on holiday at the moment, but he's going to be getting back up to speed on Monday when he gets back in. The important thing actually is do an email to engineering@laa.uk.com rather than or .com.uk, or actually do it to office@LAA. Because the reason for that is we can't guarantee everybody's behind the desks to answer personal LAA emails.
Yeah, no, where's Ken gone on holiday? Is he going to get back, or is he going to be?
Oh yes, he's in sunny East Anglia, or not so sunny but breezy East Anglia at the moment.
Okay, that's fine. I guess the other thing for various airfields is worth mentioning, but I mean, people will find that out for themselves anyways. A lot of the cafes and stuff are closing. I think Tor Western's closed now. I think I saw something about Kemble being closed as well. So solo flight somewhere, but maybe don't count on too much tea and cake.
Take your thermos. The simple fact is that they're minimising contact again with between their employees and visitors. Do PPR, do phone and check the airfield you're talking about is open. 1 or 2 airfields have closed, and not just here but elsewhere in Europe. For example, the Norwegian issue for them closing their airspace to VFR traffic is they're worried about the number of controllers available to operate their controlled airspace. And of course, given the geography of Norway as well, they're also worried if an aircraft had an emergency, whether there would be sufficient emergency services and search parties available. So it's things like that that are impacting aviation. From a general safety point of view, a well-conducted solo flight, even a flight with a passenger, is no more dangerous for that passenger than being passenger in your car on the way to the airfield. But you've got to make your own assessments and your own risk assessment. Yeah.
I mean, I have a slight contentious element to this. I have never been and will never be a fan of PPR, but in these times, I completely agree it's essential just to find out the latest. Because you never know what may or may not happen. So, and to continue the contention, I think most of us VFR bimblers would be perfectly happy without having to worry too much about not having any air traffic controllers on site. But there are obviously specific areas where they'd be useful, and if you'd like to complain about that, send an email to hatemail@sega.aero.
What I would say there is
already.
What I would say is that for those people that have to go through controlled airspace, the relative good news at the moment is because of the reduction in commercial air transport flying, the number of controllers being required to be on station is actually significantly less. And in fact, the tail off in commercial air transport has been greater than the number of controllers unable to work due to self-isolation or whatever. So at the moment, at least, it doesn't appear to be an immediate issue in the UK. And that was the advice we got as recently as yesterday from the Department for Transport.
Extraordinary times. What I would like to propose is that it's, what day is it today? Friday, soon be the weekend. Things change hourly, daily, certainly. Maybe we'll talk sometime next week and get an update if anything has changed on any of the areas.
I'd be delighted to. And what I've also made a commitment to is if we get any news from, for example, Department for Transport, we will automatically put that up on the Flyer forum as well as the LAA forum and web pages.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that, Steve. Have a great weekend. And
hopefully be going flying.
Good.
I need to get a permit test flight then.
I wish I could go flying, but the strip's still waterlogged, so I can't, sadly. But okay, well, have a great weekend. Hopefully, don't go to contingency 3 unless it's necessary, and stay safe.
It's all right. I'll be self-isolating in an open cockpit.
Excellent. Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.